Hello everyone, welcome to SportsKhabri Curious Harry and Arun Foot. We're here to talk about the ISL first because we had yet another thriller. It's been like a load of thriller sort of games that we've had over the past week or so. I mean, this ISL, like Hiren has mentioned a few times, we've had incredible games, a lot of end-to-end stuff, a lot of high goal scoring games, especially with the ones Odisha were involved, Goa were involved, and we've seen one today where Mohun Bagan and Jamshedpur played out an absolute cracker. So it swung both ways. Jamshedpur, then Mohun Bagan, and it's a crazy sort of game. Arnava 3-2 to Mohun Bagan in the end with the red card to Jamshedpur. What do you make of the game?
A brilliant piece of advertising for Indian football, I think. If you see, quite well attended in Jamshedpur at the stadium, you could hear Mohun Bagan fans in the stadium. So this was one of those few games in this season where you could hear home and away fans. Jamshedpur looked to me the better team at the start. Missed chances to score a second or a third. And Mohun Bagan just showed what class they have. Again, Sahal, playing it out to Manvir then, and Sadiku with the goal. Liston Colaco, that's Liston Colaco at its best. And we were speaking very, very critically about Liston Colaco a few weeks back. That's good news for Mohun Bagan, but as well for India as well. That Liston is sort of getting back his groove. And it looked like Mohun Bagan were cruising with the red card for Renish. Then you had the third goal from Kian, which was sort of lucky in a way, but it sort of felt like, okay, it's done and dusted. Then another very awkward defensive mistakes, by Hector Juste looked sort of sometimes really out of sorts today. I mean, he's been a very, very good defender. And again, Vishal Keth, I don't know, when did he go walking or something? I don't know what he was doing in that park. And he did the first goal as well, right? So that's a question that we most probably have to discuss. Then Jamshedpur get a second. You feel, okay, there could be something happening in this one. And then you feel, okay, it's going. And then Steve Ombry with that... I think it was an outstep, if I looked at it, or a poke sort of thing. That thing deserved a goal. And in the end, Mohun Bagan's class beat a very, very young, talented, exciting Jamshedpur FC. I think experience won tonight, because at the end, that I guess was the difference in the end, and was... it's one of those games. It was 99 minutes and you felt, hey, listen, can this go on for another half an hour? It was so exciting, so good to watch, and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah. Hiren, exciting clash again, 3-2. That's sort of close games, and these high goal scoring games have, taken the ISL by storm this season. What do you think about the game?
Hello everyone, and good to be back after a couple of days. Slowly but steadily. It's a great game. I think yesterday was also I think very, very good game, and today also very, very, I think, entertaining game. To be honest, as a neutral fan, if you see, and as a जमशेदपुर और मोहन बगान फैन भी, आई थिंक आज जो मैंने सुबह प्रीव्यू भी बोला था उसमें भी मेरे को लगा था कि कहीं ना कहीं इवनली मैच होगा. मेरे को ये नहीं लगा था कि भाई वन साइडेड होगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ दी मोहन बगान. आई थिंक क्योंकि उनके भी कुछ की प्लेयर जो स्टार्टिंग के लिए उनके प्लेयर है, जैसे आप अब देखें कि अरबांदो सादिकू ने इस सीजन आईएसएल में उतना ज्यादा स्टार्ट नहीं किया है. सो वो यहाँ पे अपना मतलब आप अब देखिए पहला या दूसरा मैच मेरे हिसाब से वो स्टार्ट कर रहे होंगे. आई थिंक पहला ही था मेरे हिसाब से तो आईएसएल का. तो आई थिंक वो एक बड़ा उनके लिए एक झटका था. फिर आप देखें कि यूगो बुमो का रोल भी काफी क्रूशियल रहता है, तो वो भी नहीं थी आज के मैच में, तो वो भी काफी क्रूशियल प्लेयर है. और बैकलाइन में आज अनवर अली की भी मेरे को कमी कहीं ना कहीं मतलब लगी. वो जो कोऑर्डिनेशन अनवर अली, ब्रेंडन एमिल एंड हेक्टर विच का दिखता है. जो फर्स्ट गोल उन्होंने कंसीडर किया, आई थिंक आप देखिए वहां पे थोड़ा सा कोऑर्डिनेशन की जो आपको चाहिए वो आई थिंक कमी दिखी. सो एंड जमशेदपुर डेफिनेटली आई थिंक मैं सर की बात से एग्री करूंगा कि थोड़ा सा इनएक्सपीरियंस लगी. अदरवाइज दे ऑल्सो गेट अ पॉइंट फ्रॉम दिस मैच. मेरे हिसाब से जिस तरह की फुटबॉल उन्होंने खेली है, और पर्टिकुलरली स्टीवेनोविच, आई थिंक अब अपने असली जो जिसके लिए उसको लाया गया है, आई थिंक जो क्वालिटी के लिए वो लाया गया है, आई थिंक आज के मैच में उनसे दिखी. तो दैट्स अ ग्रेट टू सी. जेरेमी मंजारो ने भी वो ब्लेमशिप दिखाई, जिस तरह से उन्होंने वो थ्रू एफ टर्न या फिर जिस तरह से वो मतलब कुछ मोमेंट्स कर रहे थे. आई थिंक दैट्स अ ग्रेट टू सी. चीमा चुकू से अभी भी मैं उतना ज्यादा मतलब क्या बोलते कि वो नहीं हूँ। आई थिंक स्टीव एम्बरी अगर इसी तरह से करते रहे परफॉर्मेंस देन डेफिनेटली आई थिंक चीमा चुकू की जगह पे आ सकते हैं। बट बात करनी पड़ेगी सनन की भाई, व्हाट अ टैलेंट। एंड रिलायंस यूथ स्टेडियम से इस सीजन इनको लाया गया है। केरला ब्लास्टर भी उसके लिए इंटरेस्टेड थी, उन्होंने भी बिड डाला था, लेकिन ही चूज टू गो टू जमशेदपुर। And great to see a 19-year young talent getting his chance in the ISL. एक्साइटिंग टैलेंट। एंड जिस तरह से उसने आप देखिए ना कि सिर्फ वो गोल, वहां पे उसका प्रेजेंस ऑफ माइंड देखिए, शॉट देखिए, सब कुछ उसने सही किया। लेकिन उसके अलावा भी आप देखिए मैच के थ्रू आउट द मैच उसकी जो, अब आप देखिए कि जिस तरह की डिसीजन मेकिंग या फिर जिस तरह से उसके पास स्किल सेट है, आई थिंक वो उन्होंने शो की। तो डेफिनेटली एक्साइटिंग टैलेंट। एंड लेट होप सो कि इसी तरह से वो ग्रो करते जाए एंड आगे भी और बेहतरीन परफॉर्मेंस देते जाए। उसके अलावा आई थिंक बैकलाइन मेरे को आई थिंक अब कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा सा जमशेदपुर एफसी को और ज्यादा सॉलिड करने की जरूरत लग रही है। वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा और ज्यादा वो क्या बोलते हैं मिस्टेक, या फिर मैं आप दोनों से जानना चाहता हूँ कि क्या वो ज्यादा हाई लाइन खेल रहे हैं, दैट्स व्हाई दिस इशू अकर्ड टुडे, द गोल द वन दे क्या बोलते कंसीड, एंड आल्सो जो एक क्या बोलते कि उसने अरमांदो सादिकू ने 45 मिनट के राउंड मिस किया 1-on-1 में, वहां पे भी वन थ्रू पास के थ्रू आप निकल गए थे, उसके बाद भी एक चांस ऐसा बना था। तो आप दोनों को क्या लगता है कि ड्यू टू द हाई लाइन ये प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है उनका, या फिर डिफेंसिव एरर ज्यादा हो?
It's a combination of multiple things. Now, I thought highline is a general problem. Again, Purba Lechempa also got a red card because of that. And also, I feel sometimes timing. Kab bahar ana chahiye goalkeeper ko. Vishal Keth, for example, on the line, that save against Elzinho has also been mentioned in the chat, right?
Yeah.
That save from that header, world class. But once most of the keepers have to come off the line and attack the attacker, and you don't know what is the defender doing, it gets confusing. Vishal Kate committed 2 mistakes and both of them resulted in goals today. Reinish was sent off. Purba Lechempa was the other night sent off. So, and again, we've spoken about Amrinder and Gurpreet and all, about our goalkeepers. And this is something which is very worrying to see that on one side, I like the approach. I like that a Cooper goes into this game and says, it doesn't matter. It's Mohun Bagan Super Giant. It's the costliest team in the league, best set up team in the league in that way. I'll play my style of football. Brilliant to do that. And with a little bit of luck and a little bit of experience, maybe they could have actually gotten away not only with a draw, but maybe with a win. But the question is if the coaches are smart enough to realize this and then switch their gameplay a little. So that's an interesting one, where do you realize that even, for example, Mohun Bagan with 2 foreign centre backs, we're not able to do it. And we were talking the other day, Akash Mishra, the less said about Shubhashish Bose today, the better. I mean, this is a match for him to forget. Really, shocking what he was trying to do today. So from that perspective, and Reinish is known for these kind of things, right? It's not the first time that he's been sent off for something like that, or he's come out. And that's the question. Is, I know the clubs, the goalkeeping coaches, they're working on this. But on the other side, it's something for them to try and do. And again, it's positive that teams are trying to play a high line, a pressing line. But sometimes maybe it makes sense to fall back 10, 15 meters and secure your back. Right?
और एक थोड़ा सा कम्युनिकेशन की भी मेरे को, मैं मतलब सिर्फ ये क्या बोलते जमशेदपुर की बात नहीं कर रहा, अब हर किसी टीम का देख लीजिए, मोस्ट ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम रहा है कि कीपर एंड जो डिफेंसिव लाइन है उसका जो कम्युनिकेशन है उतना ज्यादा क्या बोलते क्लियर करनी है। हमने ओडिशा एफसी में भी देखा था, अमरिंदर और चाहू के बीच में वो हो रहा था। अब दूसरी टीमों में भी देख लीजिए कि इस बार काफी टीमों ने, क्योंकि 2 फॉरेन सेंटर बैक के साथ भी स्टार्ट किया है, जैसे ओडिशा हो गई, जैसे चेन्नई हो गई, लेकिन फिर भी वो उतना, या फिर बेंगलुरु एफसी ले लीजिए, सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो पा रहे। कि आप दोनों सेंटर बैक फॉरेन लेके जाओ, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप डिफेंसिव सॉलिड है, आप दिखोगे।
They are trying to play a 3-man back line. Hiren, one problem I feel, Indian players prefer a 4-man backline. Foreign coaches have been coming into India for years. They're trying to play a 3-man. They're trying to play a 5-man. It doesn't work. And that's the question you need to answer yourself is, do I ensure my backline and play a 4-man backline and then build around it? Because again, a lot of coaches want to play 3-man back, but I feel it doesn't work. And not work, meaning most of the teams, it doesn't seem to work. Even with the foreigners we have, it is not working. So the question is are you able to adopt your system according to what your defensive needs are?
Yeah, I just have something to say about the highline thing, guys. I think when you're playing a highline, one necessity that you need to have is one of the center halves needs to be pretty quick. I just don't think we have we don't have any particularly blistering center halves who can recover, in case they see the run going and they want to fall back with the man who's making the run. They can't do it because they're simply not quick enough to do that. And I think that's where the highlight.
Now, one point to add.
Yeah.
Quick, but also quick in their thinking. It's the combination of being physically quick, but also are you alert enough to go in that? And most of the center backs are in their mid-30s or late 30s.
Exactly.
So you realize that they're not as fast as they most probably would have been in their late 20s. So therefore, very, very vital point is the coordination, anticipation, and the speed.
Yeah. One positive, I think we're going to talk about India in the Asian Championships World Cup qualifiers. Liston Colaco, that goal, I think for me was it was really nice to see that, because not because it was him getting onto the score sheet from outside the box, but the manner of the goal. A lot of the times you see any player would just hit it hard. He sort of just placed it beautifully, kind of curled it perfectly into the far corner. What do you guys make of that goal? Because it made me smile, because that was really positive to see that he had the composure to settle himself before taking the shot, and what a beautiful goal that was.
Definitely, that's a brilliant strike without a doubt, and we already seen multiple goal from Liston Colaco like that. बट द ओनली जो मेरा एक कंसर्न रहता है हमेशा, जब भी मतलब मैंने काफी बार बोला है कि लिस्टन कोलासो आपको एक मैच में ऐसा दिखेगा कि इससे बेटर इंडिया का कोई प्लेयर ही नहीं है अभी करंटली, लेकिन नेक्स्ट मैच में आप उसका परफॉर्मेंस देखोगे तो आपको लगेगा कि भाई इससे वर्स्ट प्लेयर भी नहीं है, मतलब इसको निकालो. तो आई थिंक कंसिस्टेंसी इज द मेन इश्यू विद लिस्टन कोलासो, एंड I think definitely we need. He's going to be really crucial player in the absence of Asif Kurunian for Mohun Bagan also and for national team also. So let's hope so. This goal give him the confidence and एक right क्या बोलते हैं set of माइंड फ्रेम के साथ जाए, एंड इस तरह के गोल की आपको जरूरत पड़ेगी मेरे हिसाब से कुवैत और कतार के सामने. मैंने आज सुबह भी बोला कि जो पूतिया ने कल गोल मारा है, हमारे पास ऐसा कोई मिडफील्डर ऐसा नहीं है कि जो आउटसाइड बॉक्स से ऐसे शॉट लेता हो, क्योंकि आप देखिए सामने वाली टीम जब डिफेंसिवली स्ट्रांग होगी तो आप बॉक्स के अंदर आपके पास उतना ज्यादा आप एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते कि आप चांसेस क्रिएट कर पाओगे. तब आपको एक ऐसा मोमेंट चाहिए कि जहां पे आपको आउटसाइड बॉक्स से कोई ऐसा शॉट आया, रिबाउंड पे चांस बने, ऐसा कुछ करे. तो ऐसा आपके पास कोई अभी भी मिडफील्डर नहीं है कि जो इस तरह के शॉट ले पाए जो पूतिया ने एक बार नहीं 2 बार बंदे ने लेके दिखा दिया, और दूसरी बार भी वो पोस्ट पे कर दिया अनफॉर्चुनेटली, अदरवाइज वो भी गोल होता. तो ऐसे प्लेयरों की मेरे को लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं एक आपको एक्स फैक्टर एक आध तो चाहिए. आप सारा क्या बोलते हैं रिलाई नहीं कर सकते कि हम ऐसे क्या बोलते कि अपने जो प्लान लेके आए उसी तरह से क्या बोलते क्या बोलते कि एग्जीक्यूट करके गोल करेंगे. आपको एक ऐसा मोमेंट चाहिए कि जहाँ पे एक प्लेयर हो कि जो ट्राई कर रहे हैं, ताकि कहीं ना कहीं कुछ आप देखिए सामने वाली टीम से भी मिस्टेक होगी, चाहे कितना भी बेस्ट गोलकीपर हो, डिफेंडर हो, कहीं ना कहीं एक वो क्या बोलते कि थोड़ा सा भी फोकस अगर उनका लूज होता है इन द गेम, सो आपको चांस बन सकता है. दैट्स द इस तरह के प्लेयरों की आपको एक आध प्लेयर तो मेरे हिसाब से आपकी वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफिकेशन की स्कोर में होना चाहिए.
Everybody again appreciating.
And I think there's a very important point also with Liston Colaco. Liston Colaco in the past might have fired in the first or second instance. He waited for the gap. Exactly. And that's an evolution in the player, and that's always good to see. Again, 3-4 months ago, Liston Colaco was in a slump, And we've seen now that Liston is trying to work his way up, and that was a quality goal. He saw where Rainesh was standing. He waited for that gap in defense, and then only he took that shot. And that is something which is very, very good to see. And this is also a testament of the attacking prowess that Mohun Bagan Supergiant have. No Cummings, no Hugo Bumos, but still you saw Petratos leading from the lines. Sadiku had his opportunities, could have scored more actually today. But also Liston, and Manveer was good today. Manveer was good. He was trying to create those spaces. And again, Sahal, we've already praised a number of times over the last few weeks. I think Sahal Abdul Samad, wow, what a season he's having so far at Mohun Bagan Supergiant. And this is important also from an Indian context, that these players go into these games and to look forward, because in 15 days we have a different kind of challenge coming up for the Indian national team, and these players need to be up to the mark. And that's why, that's class from these players. But on the other side, these youngsters, Sanan, Nikhil Bala, interesting to see how much trouble they were creating for these seasoned players. And I don't know why Chimachukwu started today, because I felt Steve Ombry was, even in those few minutes that he was on the field, he was much more effective, much more dangerous. And again, most probably would have scored one of the goals of the season if that 3-3 goes in, where Chimachukwu really, first half you had that one pass which Sanan played and literally he misses 2 steps. He just needs to be 2 steps further up and he would have scored a goal. And this is something which I felt was very interesting to see. And again, positive football. I'm very, very impressed by Jamshedpur FC, because I felt, I'll be honest, and I think not only me, but I think a lot of us would have felt that Jamshedpur looked like one of the sort of bottom 2, bottom 3 teams when we were not getting enough information about them. But Steve Cooper and also the boys, Jeremy Manzoro, what a class player. And someone who I have a player who I found put in his shift, 100th game in the ISL, Pratik Chaudhary. One of those sort of unsung heroes. So therefore there are a lot of positives from this game. But again, also Din Puya, for example, especially in these counters, where Mohun Bagan could have sort of killed off the game. This is the only thing, if you want to criticize Mohun Bagan for one thing, they didn't score a 4th. And that's the only thing that you can criticize them for. If they score a 4th, this game is done and dusted. But what Jamshedpur showed with 10 men, huge respect.
But just Rahul, add to one point. I think the one player from Jamshedpur also impressed me is Imran Khan. I think last season he played good for the Northeast, and today I think with Sanan on that left side, I think both have linked up very well, and I think he is also one of the talented midfielder. जिसकी इतनी ज़्यादा बात नहीं होती, लेकिन I think आज उसको मौका मिला था starting 11 में, and he showed, I think, brilliant performance for him.
Exactly. I think there is so much praise for Jamshedpur was also because once they went to 10 men, once they went down to 10 men, they still made a game of it. I think they could have on another day had a third. They hit the post in the last few minutes, so it could have gone.
And they risked a lot, Rahul. They risked a lot. They played, they did not sort of try to shield and try to build on counter and sit back and whatever. They played an attacking game of football, and this is something which again I'm positively surprised, because they were playing against in Mohun Bagan, one of the best teams in the league. So and again that Imran nutmeg against Manveer, you saw what an Imran Khan is capable of, or the ball which he puts in where Vishal Kate makes a timely save before Semboy comes in, right? Again, I'm positively surprised by Jamshedpur FC so far, even though they've lost a few games now. But if they can learn out of these mistakes and utilize the chances that they get, they could potentially be a top 6 contender. I think I wouldn't be surprised.
I agree.
और आज का गेम मेरे को थोड़ा सा ज्यादा मतलब क्या बोलते स्मूथ भी चला, मतलब उतना ज्यादा फाउल नहीं हो रहा था कि एकदम से गेम रुक रहा है बार बार. आई थिंक थोड़ा सा फ्लूइड गेम ज्यादा चला रादर देन कि वो एक के ऊपर एक फाउल हो रहे हैं और गेम बीच में इंटरप्ट हो रहा है, तो वो भी मजा है. और एटमोस्फियर भी आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि जमशेदपुर के इतनी ज्यादा बात नहीं होती, हम ज्यादा बात करते कि केरला ब्लास्टर का एटमोस्फियर, मोहन बगान का, लेकिन आई थिंक मेरे हिसाब से कंसिस्टेंट बेसिस पे इस तरह से फैन का शोड अप होना और जिस तरह से पूरा एक एटमोस्फियर क्रिएट करना, आई थिंक दैट्स अ कमेंडेबल जॉब. मतलब आई थिंक हेड्स ऑफ टू देम.
Yeah. After this game, Mohun Bagan back on top, 4-4 for them. And then you've got Jamshedpur and 8th. Of course, there's a lot of good things that we've learned from Jamshedpur over the course of the past few weeks. So there's still a lot to expect from Jamshedpur. I think the results will come slowly. It's still a young team. So fair enough. Guys, we still have a couple of things to talk about. Next thing is, of course, the Indian women's team. After that, lost to Japan. We've suffered another defeat to Uzbekistan this time around. Surprised at all, guys?
For me, it's expected. I think home team Uzbekistan, and I think the way in the form or the mindset जो हमारी अभी वुमेन्स प्लेयरों का है, आई डोंट एक्सपेक्टेड कि भाई हम मेरा सिर्फ इतना एक्सपेक्टेशन था कि एक अच्छी फाइट पुट अप करें, एंड 3-0 से वो इस मैच को हार गए. एंड आफ्टर दी मैच यहाँ पे हमारे जो सेक्रेटरी जनरल है AFF, उन्होंने भी बोला है कि इट्स अ टाइम फॉर टू चेंज समथिंग, एंड उन्होंने बोला है कि इस मंथ के एंड तक यहाँ पे वुमेन्स फुटबॉल के लिए कुछ वो प्लान लेके आ रहे हैं. इट्स बेटर टू बी क्योंकि हम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि वुमेन्स टीम हमारी मैच से पहले वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफाई कर देंगी, तो ऐसे तो नहीं होगा. अगर ऐसी परफॉर्मेंस आएगी तो यू कांट क्वालिफाई एनी टूर्नामेंट, टू बी ऑनेस्ट, सिंपल एज दैट. So definitely there needs to be a lot of, you can say ki changes, whatever you call it, needed for the women's football. And disappointed in the तीनों मैच, पर्टिकुलरली फर्स्ट जापान, देन वियतनाम एंड उज्बेकिस्तान के सामने मेरे को इसलिए लग रहा था क्योंकि हमारे लेवल की टीम है, नो डाउट. रैंकिंग वाइज देखें तो हमारे से 10 रैंक ऊपर है, एंड थोड़ा सा एक अपने वियतनाम के सामने एक गोल भी मारा था, तो लग रहा था कि थोड़ा सा बेटर परफॉर्मेंस आएगा, लेकिन होम टीम है तो ऑब्वियसली. लेकिन आज मेरे को थोड़ा सा ग्राउंड जो जिस ग्राउंड पे आज मैच खेला गया वो कंपेरेटिवली जो फर्स्ट दो मैच खेले गए थे उससे काफी बेटर लगा. एंड आई थिंक लेट्स सी कि इस सीजन का जो IWL एक्सटेंडेड IWL है वो वुमेन्स प्लेयर को थोड़ा सा क्या बोलते कि हेल्प करे, एंड लेट होप सो कि AFF भी कुछ एक स्ट्रॉन्ग प्लान लेके आए, तभी कुछ हो सकता है, अदरवाइज तो आई डोंट सी एनी होप.
Yeah. Anuma, your reactions. Of course, we also spoke about. I think we had a lengthy conversation about the Indian women's team and in women's football. But do you think the idea IWL can change sort of how the Indian women's team shapes up in the future?
It's a yes and a no. On one side, yes, it is important to have such a league. The question is, how many matches do the women have? And I felt at the start of the year when we were playing Uzbekistan, we look good. And if I look at the end of the year, I feel we've walked backwards. We've not evolved or developed. And that's the worrying part, because I'm hearing a lot of lip service from people. And again, I tweeted about the technical committee's assessment of the Asian Games. It seems to be that, people are happy with being mediocre or below par. And this team can play better, can play much, much better. But I don't know, something was missing. And it's very worrying what I've seen of the Indian women's team over the last few days, and also looking at the Asian Games, again, praises here and there, but I didn't see what I want to see them to be able to challenge teams. Again, Vietnam and Uzbekistan should normally be teams that we should be challenging. Forget Japan. Japan is a different class, no doubt about it. They they can take on the best teams in the world, and we're nowhere near that. Let's be honest about it. Yeah. But against Vietnam and also against Uzbekistan, I didn't have a feeling that we could somehow win these games. And that is very, very worrying, I feel. And that's why, it's these are very worrying signs, and hopefully things will be rectified. But again, if you, as in the technical committee report, you say, the Asian Games was satisfactory for the women's and for the men's. Again, I think we need Furious Harry to maybe add a few things on that, because it's just shocking. Because we have to be honest to ourselves. We have to be realistic. Where do we stand? Where do we want to go? People talk about the World Cup, women's and men's. We are so far away at the moment.
Yeah.
And teams are, Lord Baker is mentioning Iran's women's team. Yes, teams. Vietnam is a prime example in the last 10 years. Vietnam 10 years ago would have been in the men's game, even in the women's game, a team which we should have beaten. Today, we will lose. And that is, that worries me, that concerns me. Because if you don't talk internally, don't make it public, but internally discuss this and say, listen, guys, these are the problems. We need to rectify them. Don't pat yourself on the back. If the work is done, pat yourself on the back. And we've seen that, starting with the men's senior national team. I mean, Thomas Deneby was talking about qualifying for the Olympics. Thomas, nice to give that vision. But again, I hope internally you were really speaking, clean, proper language to the players. But I have a feeling that this team might need a certain level of rebuild, maybe also new head coach. I think it seems to me that the Thomas Deneby era is sort of sadly over. I think that's going to be one of the decisions which comes out of the last two tournaments, be it the Asian Games, be it now the Olympic qualifiers. And they need to strengthen the structure of club football in the women's game. The AFF has been talking about sub-junior nationals and nationals, and I don't care about those. If these things happen, nice. Your focus needs to be on club football. Get boys, girls, men's, women to play 30, 40 matches a year. We're seeing the impact on the men's game. Our top players will be playing most probably about 50 matches this season. Let's see how many reach the end of the season.
Yeah.
The oldest man most probably will, because Sunil is fit like a 25-year-old. But we're already missing, when we come to a discussion regarding the World Cup qualifiers, we're already missing 3 key players. And that list, I'm fearful that list will grow over the next few days. Because the intensity, and this is something, again, you look at the ISL game today, the intensity, there's a massive level of intensity, which is good. But if you're used to playing 20, 25 matches a year, and suddenly you're upping it to 40, 45, that's too much of a strain physically. So your planning, again, I go back, we've talked about September. Your planning, your season planning is completely off. It's not organized. And we need to do that homework for the men's and also for the women's. And that's hopefully someone is listening and someone's rectifying and not, they're patting each other's back, because this will not take Indian football forward. Hiren, it's yours.
I think completely 100% agree with you on this. I think focus दोनों के ऊपर सेम होना चाहिए. एंड जो स्ट्रक्चरली आपको जो सारी चीजें ठीक करनी चाहिए, मेरे हिसाब से मतलब वुमेन्स के लिए तो और भी ज्यादा आपको अभी करने की जरूरत है. मेंस के लिए तो आपने काफी सारी चीजें मतलब अभी तक इन टर्म्स ऑफ दी सीनियर लेवल पे हो रही है, लेकिन वुमेन्स के लिए तो पहली बार अभी प्रॉपर तरीके से लीग हो. तो मेंस के लिए तो 10 साल से आपका लीग तो हो रहा है एटलीस्ट, वो तो एक अच्छी बात है. यहाँ पे तो लीग ही प्रॉपर तरीके से नहीं हो रहा. तो मोस्ट ऑफ दी आपकी गर्ल्स है वो पूरे साल में फुटबॉल ही मतलब क्या बोलती कि वो नहीं खेल पा रही थी. दैट्स अ ग्रेट वे टू स्टार्ट. एंड उसके बाद लेट होप सो जो IWL2 मतलब यानी कि सेकंड डिवीजन है उसकी भी बात रखी है उन्होंने, तो वो भी हो इस साल. लेट होप सो. एंड जैसे मैंने बोला था जापान गेम के बाद, राहुल इफ यू रिमेंबर, थॉमस डिनेवरी विल बी सेफ. आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि that will happen. And I think youth system के ऊपर भी उतनी ज्यादा अभी तक बात नहीं हुई. यूथ लीग्स फॉर बोथ मेंस एंड वुमेन प्रॉपर तरीके से होनी चाहिए, नॉट फॉर 1 month 2 month. एंड आई थिंक मेरे को क्या लगता है पता है कि आपको अगर आपसे मैनेज नहीं हो रहा है मतलब लीग और ये सारी चीजें, तो आपको मतलब क्या बोलते हैं, जैसे बाहर के कंट्रीज में आई थिंक सर को पता है ज्यादा कि आप देखिए टॉप बल्कि टॉप लीग्स भी वहाँ के जो फेडरेशन है वो रन नहीं करते, उन्होंने भी मतलब या तो कोई कंपनी है या फिर कोई ऐसा एक सेपरेट ऐसा एंटिटी बना रखा है कि जो सारा उसका देखते हैं, क्योंकि आपके पास वो नहीं है। तो मेरे मेरे को लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं आपको वो मॉडल देखना चाहिए एटलीस्ट फॉर योर फर्स्ट टू डिवीजन, रादर देन कि हैंडलिंग योरसेल्फ एंड सारा उसका मैसअप बन जाए। उससे अच्छा है कि आप ऐसा कुछ मॉडल लाइए कि जहाँ पे आपको वो ना हैंडल करना पड़े, ताकि बेटर तरीके से वो एक लीग भी अच्छी तरीके से हो पाए प्रोफेशनल वे में। क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ पे नाम की लीगें तो काफी सारी होती है, लेकिन हमको पता है कि किस तरह से सारी चीजें ऑर्गेनाइज करवाई जाती है, वो भी एक सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं है कि यूथ लीग कर जाने से आपका कंप्लीट हो जाए, उसके लिए आपको प्रॉपर ग्राउंड, प्रॉपर तरीके से रेफरी, सारी चीजें, स्टेडियम, ये चीजें भी मैटर करती है। एक कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस लेवल जो आपको चाहिए वो भी आपको क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा, सिर्फ यूथ लीग कर देने से नहीं होगा। तो लेट होप से एरियाज पे काम हो, क्योंकि अब एएफसी ने भी रिकॉग्नाइज कर दिया है कि आपको ग्रास रूट पे आप अच्छा काम कर रहे हो, तो अब एक स्टेप उसको अप लेकर जाने की जरूरत है। लेट होप सो कि कुछ अच्छा काम करेंगे तो नेक्स्ट ईयर यहाँ पे जो ब्रॉन्ज कैटेगरी में मिला है ग्रास रूट के लिए वो शायद सिल्वर कैटेगरी में भी मिल जाएगा। सो लेट होप सो एएफएफ इस एरिया में सोचे और इस एरिया में कुछ काम करे।
Yeah, guys, I think like I said, we've already had a quite an in-depth discussion about the Indian women's team. So, want to quickly move on to, I think, the main topic here, which is, of course, that the World Cup qualifiers are coming up. India have two games in the next during the next international break. We first take on Kuwait away, and then we play Qatar at home within the span of 5 or so days. It's going to be very, very interesting because of course there were expectations, at least from a few people, that we could make it to round 3, but injuries have sort of dampened hopes. I mean, at least my hopes, they have. Arnava, Hiren, have they dampened your hopes? We'll talk about the players in particular. I mean, I'm talking about Anwar Ali, Jackson, Singh, of course, in particular. Has it sort of deflated the balloon a little?
No, it's not deflated it. I think the point is that the matches haven't been played. First of all, we have now 2 matches this month. We have 2 matches in March and another 2 matches in June. We were sort of flying. Not we, but certain people were flying in June, July because we won the Intercontinental Cup and the SAF Championship. Where I always said is good for us to win, but there are bigger assignments waiting for us. And to be honest, September and October have been very disappointing for the Indian men's national team. And the reason is, and we come back to this whole scheduling thing, because September was not well scheduled. Simple thing. We have wandered from one mess to another. National team this, national team that, under 23s, Asian Games, this, that, everything. Then you go to Malaysia, you play the Merdeka Cup, which of course you're very unlucky that a war breaks out and Palestine has to opt out. That's not the blame of the AFF. That's not the blame on the Merdeka organizers. You lose a match in a way. Again, we were robbed of a goal. The pitch wasn't good. But on the other side, Malaysia also had to play on that same ground. And we were poor.
Yeah.
That was the scary part. So we fooled the system to be in pot 2. Karma caught up with us. They got us the best team out of pot 3, right, which is Kuwait. And your first game is away to Kuwait, and Kuwait will want to settle scores for the SAF Cup final. They're ready for it. And then you have a national coach, again, it's been mentioned, that your best midfielder in India at the moment, according to the coach, does not belong in the team. A country like India cannot afford the luxury to say that a player of Apuya's level is not in the squad. Forget in the squad, he belongs in the starting 11. So therefore, it is for us, it's a huge challenge now because Ashik is out or was already earlier out with an ACL. He's out for the World Cup qualifiers and for the Asian Cup. Jackson looks out for the World Cup qualifiers. Maybe lucky if he can get to the Asian Cup, but he will not be fully fit. So he might be without any match preparation. And the same applies to Anwar Ali as well. So those players who have, over the last 12, 15 months, established themselves as key players for the Indian national team, they will be missing. And it's interesting to see not only in the national team, but today we saw what kind of influence Anwar Ali also has now as an Indian centre-back.
Exactly.
On a team like Mohun Bagan, which is amongst the best teams in the country, if not the best. And this is something which we need to realize. Forget us realizing, it is for the national coach to realize. And let's see how he decides. I do go with his opinion of, I'd rather pick someone who has international experience than someone who's totally inexperienced. But we've got a lot of these boys who have played for India at youth level. So they're not really completely inexperienced at international level. So that's the big question. Will he pick a Parthiv Gogoi? Will a Putia potentially get a look in? And of course, the biggest question of all, what about Apuya?
Yeah. It's scary times because Hiren, of course, Anwar Ali, Jackson, probably the two bigger names. Do you guys think Ashik could have started ahead of either Mahesh or Changte? Because for me, he wouldn't. What do you guys think?
I think अगर आप पिछला इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल उसमें देखे तो उसने किया था, महेश से आगे आसिक को स्टार्ट मिल रहा था. सो और देखिए आसिक के साथ एक ये भी चीज है कि थोड़ा सा फिजिकली स्ट्रॉन्ग है एंड आपको क्या बोलते हैं कि लॉन्ग बॉल विन करने में या फिर ओवर दी बॉल विन करने में भी काफी हेल्प करता है. सो इन दैट सेंस भी उसका रोल काफी ज्यादा उस लेफ्ट फ्लैंक पे क्रूशियल था. सो आई थिंक अगर वो होता देन डेफिनेटली अभी जिस फॉर्म में नॉरम है डेफिनेटली यू नेवर नो, बट आई थिंक वो स्टार्ट कर सकता है. मेरे लिए भी जो बिगेस्ट चैलेंज है ऑब्वियसली प्लेयरों का नाम होना और पर्टिकुलरली इसके रिप्लेसमेंट के तौर पे कौन आते हैं. आई थिंक दैट विल डिसाइड कि भाई किस तरह का परफॉर्मेंस हमारा रहने वाला है. अगर आप अब देखिए अपुया आ जाता है फिर आप बोल लोगे कि भाई चलो ठीक है, लेकिन एक अपुया से आ जाने से भी नहीं हो पाएगा क्योंकि आप देखिए अपुया भी अगर आ जाता है मान लीजिए अभी भी मानने के लिए मान लेते हैं तो वो भी तो पूरा 90 मिनट या फिर दोनों मैच पूरा वो तो नहीं खेलेगा, ऑब्वियसली बात है आपको. तो बाकी प्लेयरों का भी रोल काफी क्रूशियल रहेगा मेरे हिसाब से. सुरेश वांगजाम आई थिंक उसका फॉर्म में होना भी जरूरी है. रोशन आपका जो भी आ चुका है आई थिंक बैकलाइन सेंटर बैक में भी मेरे को लगता है कि संदेश सिंघान एक आपके पास है अभी, उसके अलावा मेहताब उतने अच्छे फॉर्म में नहीं दिख रहा है आपका. फिर चुंगनुंग ना काफी सारे लोग बोल रहे हैं लेकिन इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे मतलब जब परफॉर्म करके देगा तब बोल सकते हैं. अभी देखिए पोटेंशियल है, सारी चीजें हम खिला भी देंगे, चलो अगर कोई ऑप्शन नहीं होगा तो खिला भी देंगे उसको, लेकिन वो परफॉर्मेंस दे उसके बाद वो एश्योरेंस या फिर एक कॉन्फिडेंस आप में आता है कि हाँ भाई ये प्लेयर भी डिलीवर कर पाएगा. तब तक तो हम सिर्फ ऐसे एजम्पशन नहीं लेके चल सकते कि यहाँ पे कर पाएगा. एंड आई डोंट सी कि आज मैं रिपोर्ट्स भी देख रहा था एक दो कि इन प्लेयरों को मौका मिलना चाहिए वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर स्कोर में. आई डोंट सी कि इगो स्टेविक साहब उतना ज्यादा कुछ यहाँ पे मेरे को लगता है कि चेंजेस करेंगे. आई थिंक जो उसकी अभी तक की जो 25 मेंबर की या फिर 30 मेंबर की जो स्कोर है, जो प्लेयर ऑलरेडी उसके अंदर खेल चुके हैं, आई थिंक उसी को साथ जाएंगे एंड जो कि मेरे हिसाब से सही है रादर देन गोइंग विद मल्टीपल न्यू प्लेयर्स. आई थिंक वो नहीं होना चाहिए। एकाध आप एक्सपेक्ट एकाध प्लेयर को आप लेके जा सकते हो, जैसे पार्थिव गोगोई, एकाध एक्सपेक्टर अगर आपको ऐड करना है तो लेके जाइए। बाकी आप हर पोजीशन में जो भी रिसेंटली अच्छा कर रहा है तो उसी को उठा के जाएंगे, तो फिर आपने जो मतलब आप बोलते हो टीम बिल्डिंग आपने अभी तक की है पिछले 6 महीनों में, कैंप लगा के और जो सारी चीजें करके, और आपकी जो प्लेइंग स्टाइल है या फिर प्रैक्टिकली जो आपने जिस प्लेयरों में इंस्टीट्यूट की है, वो फिर नया प्लेयर आएगा सीधा ही एडोप्ट नहीं कर पाएगा। तो वो भी एक चैलेंज है। तो आई थिंक फैंस का तो देखिए रहता है कि जो अभी कल ही जैसे पुतिया ने परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा दिया, तो आज लोग बोल रहे हैं ट्विटर पे कि इसको भी वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स की स्क्वाड में होना चाहिए। तो वो फैंस का तो ओपिनियन चेंज होता रहेगा, लेकिन आई थिंक जो कोच के पर्सपेक्टिव से मेरे को लग रहा है कि आई डोंट सी टू मेनी प्लेयर्स या न्यू प्लेयर्स गेटिंग ए चांस। आई थिंक डेफिनेटली जहाँ पे उसको कंपलसरी हो जाएगा, जैसे सेंटर बैक पोजीशन पे या फिर कहीं और पे, then he definitely will select that kind of player. Other than that I don't see कि भाई उतना ज्यादा कोई चेंज होगा। आई थिंक अगर हम अभी स्कोर भी आई थिंक डिस्कस करें तो फ्रंट लाइन में आप देखिए, स्ट्राइकर में आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि मनवीर एंड सुनील छेत्री मेरे को लगते हैं, राइट विंग में मेरे को लगता है चांगते, एंड उसके साथ उदानता वो लेके जा रहे हैं, लेकिन आई थिंक मेरे हिसाब से राहुल केपी इज ऑल्सो गुड ऑप्शन, एंड आपका विक्रम प्रताप सिंह भी काफी बढ़िया ऑप्शन है। इन दोनों में से भी आप लेके जा सकते हो। लेफ्ट फ्लैंक में आप देख लीजिए, नॉर्डन मैच आपका ऑलरेडी है, लिस्टन कोलासो इज डूइंग रियली वेल, सो वो भी वहाँ पे हो सकते हैं। अटैकिंग मिडफील्डर आपके पास सहल अब्दुल समद, ब्रेंडन फर्नांडिस, आई थिंक दोनों सेटल डाउन है। डिफेंसिव मिडफील्डर में आप या फिर नंबर 8 में आप, नंबर 6 में आप जो भी ले लीजिए, थापा एंड आई थिंक सुरेश रमजान, में दोनों मेरे को शोर लग रहे हैं। रोहित कुमार का मेरे को पता नहीं, आई थिंक उसको लेके जाए या ना जाए। उसके अलावा बाकी दो मिडफील्डर कौन आते हैं, आई थिंक दैट विल बी इंटरेस्टिंग टू सी। बैक लाइन में आई थिंक लेफ्ट बैक में अगर आप देखें तो आकाश मिश्रा इज देयर, आई थिंक सुभाषिस बोस भी मेरे हिसाब से कंटिन्यू करेंगे। राइट बैक में आई एम सीइंग रोशन एंड निखिल मेरे को कंटिन्यू करते हुए दिख रहे हैं। आशीष राय का क्या स्ट्रॉन्ग बन सकता है। सेंटर बैक में आप देखें कि संदेश चिंगान एक मेरे को श्योर लग रहा है, बाकी 2 या 3 सेंटर बैक कौन होगा पता नहीं, एंड गोलकीपर पता है। आई थिंक ऑलमोस्ट आपके जो 20 प्लेयर है वो सिलेक्टेड ही है। आपको 3-4 प्लेयर ही ऐसे सिलेक्ट करने की जहाँ पे अभी डिस्कशन बना हुआ है। सो दैट्स द इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट कि ईगो स्टेडिंग साहब वहाँ पे क्या यंग टैलेंट के साथ जाते हैं, या फिर जो एक्सपीरियंस या फिर जो उनके अंदर पास्ट में खेल चुके हैं, नॉट इन पास्ट 6 मंथ बट पास्ट कपल ऑफ 1-2 साल पहले जब भी खेल चुके हैं, आई थिंक अगर उसको भी कंसिडर किया जाता है then it's going to be interesting to see.
So let's play that game then, Adava Hiren. We've spoken about who we wanted. I think it's very clear that we want Apuya in midfield, but let's get into the head of the get into the head of the coach. So I'm going to ask both of you. We know that there are two starters for sure who are missing, Anwar Ali and of course Jackson Singh.
Jackson.
Who plays instead of them? According to who do you think the coach plays instead of them? Let's start with Jackson. Let's start with Jackson.
See, with Jackson is the question is, are you going to play a combination, let's say, of Suresh and Thapa? That's an option. Or does he jump over his own shadow and call back Apuya? And if I look at the first half against Al Hilal, then I have to say he has no other option. Again, we are India. We're not a France where France can say, listen, you know what? I've got so many good strikers. I leave Karim Benzema at home with all the scandals that he's had. I don't care. I don't need him. Even without Karim Benzema, I can reach a World Cup final. We are not in that position. If we have a good player, he has to play, or even she has to play. It doesn't matter, right? So that's where we are. If Apuya comes in, it gives you a little flexibility, because I'm not convinced about Suresh at the moment. Anirudh Thapa today got away. For me, should have quite early in the second half picked up a yellow card, got away with 4 or 5 fouls. So and we need that stability, because if the stability is not there in defensive midfield, it puts pressure on the defenders and the goalkeeper. And you saw that against Malaysia. Sandesh and Mehtab were all over the place.
Yeah.
Add to that
I
fact,
think
the goalkeeper as well. Gurpreet didn't have the best of games. So that's the point. I need someone who is my pivot, who's my holding six, and who can control and just cool down things whenever it's needed, and not just play it here and there. We need to try and find that thing. And therefore, Jackson and Anwar being injured, in that combination, that is our problem. Because the holding six is one, but who's the second center back who we can trust?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's my point. Mehtab has not had the best of games in recent weeks. Lalchu Nungra to me is not ready for that level of football. Sana, I don't know if the trust level is there from the coach to bring him back. And the question is, what's the status of a Pritham Kotal? Does he consider a Pritham Kotal someone to bail you out? So, mindset, I don't agree that Lalchu Nunga is ready. I don't think, because Lalchu Nunga is dependent on the foreign centre back with whom he plays. So therefore, yeah, let's see. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one of how do you solve this puzzle?
Yeah.
I think Jackson Singh का अपुया तो हम सबने डिस्कस कर लिया. I think other than that, I think Rollin Borges past में यूगोस्लाविया के अंदर खेल चुके हैं, so he can be that one option. Glenn Martins अभी पिछले दो मैच से मोहन बगान के लिए भी खेल रहे हैं, and अभी तक मतलब इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल कप तक यूगोस्लाविया के साथ के प्लान में थे, उसके बाद उसको इंजरी हो गया और सारी
But Glenn Martins has never played well for India. Don't forget that.
वो बात सही है, अच्छा नहीं खेले हैं, लेकिन आपको जो अगर एक्सपीरियंस के साथ जाना है, then this is the second option. Other than that, third option जो I think वो कंसीडर नहीं करेंगे, वो I think Lenny Rodriguez from Odisha FC, experience, very experienced one and playing very well in ISL, अच्छा खेल रहा है, but I don't think so कि उसको कंसीडर किया जाएगा. So defensive midfielder आपके पास उतने ज्यादा ऐसा कोई एक्सपीरियंस में ऑप्शन है नहीं. So you have to either go with Apuya or these 2-3 options. So let's see किसके ऊपर हो जाते हैं. That's going to be interesting. And ऐसा नहीं होगा कि एक जैक्सन का ही रिप्लेसमेंट ढूंढना है. रोहित कुमार का भी मेरे को लगता है कि अगर रोहित को नहीं सिलेक्ट करते, then we will be replacing रोहित कुमार. So ये दो मिडफील्डर में देख रहा हूँ कि यहाँ पे उसके लिए सिलेक्शन हेडिक है. सेंटर बैक मेरे को मिडफील्डर से भी ज्यादा लगता है, जैसे सर ने बोला कि ऑप्शन ऐसे आपके पास नहीं है, क्योंकि आप देखिए सभी ऐसे क्लब्स में आप उठा के 1 by 1 देख लीजिए. आप चुंगनुंगना जैसे हमने बोला इन एक्सपीरियंस है, चलो उस स्कोर में आ जाता है. उसके बाद अगर आप देखें कि मुंबई सिटी से मेहताब भी उतने अच्छे टच में नहीं चल रहे, साना का सबने बता दिया. आप केरला ब्लास्टर से प्रीतम कोटाल के हमने डिस्कस कर लिया. चेन्नई एफसी से विकास सुंदरम अभी आई थिंक इज नॉट रेडी येट. उसके अलावा यहाँ पे आप ओडिशा एफसी से नरेंद्र गहलोत इज नॉट रेडी येट. फिर आपका पंजाब एफसी से मेल्ड्रो एससीसी एंड निखिल प्रभु. That also looks very unlikely. Then I think who else left? जमशेदपुर एफसी से ये अभी हमने प्रतीक चौधरी. That's also very looking like unlikely, but he performed well.
When you say Jamshedpur, Jitendra Singh, Jitu, does he potentially get into the squad, or should he be looking in due to his experience from the under 17 squad that he has and Indian Arrows and other things?
Yes, Jitendra Singh might be an option, but I don't think so कि Yugoslav will take that risk with going Jitendra Singh. I think he will go with experienced center back. I think Sana Singh and मेरे को नहीं लगता कि मेरे हिसाब से चार सेंटर बैक होंगे वो यही होंगे कि आपका क्या बोलते कि संदेश जिंगान, मेहताब, साना एंड चुंगनुंगा, ये चार ही होंगे मेरे हिसाब से.
Who starts today?
Starts तो I think maybe Sana and Sandesh, maybe.
Okay. Arnav?
It's a very difficult one to decide who to pick or not to pick, because again there are players who've been playing decent or good in the ISL. Now the thought process is not, are they good at the ISL level, are they good at international level? And I think that distinction has to be made. And a good ISL player does not mean that he'll be good at international football. So therefore, the coach has a very difficult choice or choices to make.
Yeah.
And hopefully, over the next 7 days, we don't see more injuries.
Yeah.
And that is my big fear.
Yeah.
वन पॉइंट आई वांट टू ऐड हियर कि काफी सारे प्लेयरों का नाम बोलते हैं कि इसको लेके जा रहे हैं, लेकिन जो ये एक्सपेरिमेंट करने का टाइम था ना, ये आपका खत्म हो चुका है।
It's gone.
ये आपका इम्पोर्टेंट टूर्नामेंट है, तो यहाँ पे आपको एक्सपीरियंस नहीं करना है कि ये प्लेयर आईएसएल में अच्छा कर रहा है तो इसको भी खिला के देख ले। यहाँ पे देखने वाली बात नहीं, आपको जो लग रहा है कि ये परफॉर्मेंस देगा उसी को खिलाएं। जो सर ने बोला ना कि डिस्ट्रिक्ट करना कि भाई आईएसएल में अच्छा कर रहा है, इसका मतलब इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे भी अच्छा करेगा। देखिए ये तो जब खेलेगा तभी पता चलेगा, लेकिन वो अभी चेक करने का टाइम नहीं है। ये वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स उसके लिए चेक करने का टाइम नहीं है। वो आपका इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल में एक मैच आपको संदेश के बिठा के दूसरे को खिलाना चाहिए था, वहां पे देखना चाहिए था कि हाँ भाई ये बंदा रेडी है, अगर संदेश इंजर्ड हो गया तो मैं इसको खिलाऊंगा। वो सब इसीलिए आप देखिए बार बार मैं एक ही बात बोलता रहता हूँ कि वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स या फिर वर्ल्ड कप एंड एशियन कप, यही दो टूर्नामेंट इंटरनेशनल फुटबॉल में मैटर करते हैं। बाकी आप कितने भी कप, कितने भी आपका साफ बाफ मर्दे का कितना भी जीत लो, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। आपको मैटर करते हैं ये दो टूर्नामेंट, और इसके लिए आपकी टीम रेडी होनी चाहिए, बैकअप भी आपके रेडी होनी चाहिए। तो अगर आप बाकी टूर्नामेंट में भी सभी जगह पे सेमी सेंटर बैक पैर खिलाते रहोगे, तो वहां पे आपने अगर ट्राई किया होता तो आपको ज्यादा, तो भी हम ये डाउट नहीं कर रहे होते। चुंगनुंगा ने अगर वहां पे खेला होता कोई मैच, या फिर किसी और प्लेयर ने जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं जिन्होंने इंटरनेशनल नहीं खेला है, तो हमें आइडिया मिलता है कि हाँ भाई ये रेडी है। सिंपल सी बात है। सो दैट्स द नाउ बिगेस्ट क्या बोलते कि हेडिक फॉर दी। उन्होंने ज्यादा तर मैचेस में, चाहे वो नेपाल बांग्लादेश सामने वाले मैचेस में भी संदेश जिंगा ने अनवर लीग की सेंटर बैक पैर के साथ ही गए हैं मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम। एंड ज्यादा से ज्यादा मेहताब को एक आध बार मेहताब को यूज कर लिया, अदर देन दैट उन्होंने यूज नहीं किया। मेहताब का फॉर्म डाउन है, अनवर ली आपका आउट है, तो आपके पास एक ही सेंटर बैक बचा है। अब आपके लिए रियल प्रॉब्लम स्टार्ट हो चुका है कि बाकी कौन, तो रिस्क आ जाता है। अभी श्योरिटी नहीं आती आपके पास कि हाँ भाई ये प्लेयर मेरे को डिलीवर करके देगा। सो दैट्स द
Same
वेरी
problem
इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट।
defensive midfield, na? Jigson out, Suresh, Rohit, the less said the better. Thapa still settling into Mohun Bagan. That is again, our attacking unit is stronger than our defensive unit. This is a very interesting one, which is sort of turned around 360 degrees over the last few months. That we said, listen, our defensive unit looks good, but who's going to get us the goals except Sunil? Now it looks like our attacking unit looks settled, or we have not only settled, it has options. Mahesh, Sahal, Changte, Sunil, just to say this is the starting unit.
One defensive midfielder we missed, Amarjit Singh किया, उसके बारे में तारीफ की है, so
difficult. I feel Amarjit has to play, and if I remember last season, Stephen Constant even considered him good enough for the first team of East Bengal. He was actually playing with the reserve side in the Calcutta Football League. So that is something where, again, he does have that experience. If we're talking about a Jitu, then Amarjit also has that experience, but he also had an injury. That should not be forgotten. So therefore, I feel it's a difficult one, because again, it's the coach on one side has to go by what's the current form of the player, but should never forget also what is the international experience. In that logic, certain players get into the squad. Now he has to find what is the right decision of taking this team forward, because if you can get a result in Kuwait, even if it's a draw, that's a positive start. As long as you don't lose against Kuwait, that's a positive start. If you somehow can get a result against Qatar, you're fine. But on the other side, the worst case scenario is if we lose, both the games, we are under huge pressure in March against Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Because
True.
I think a lot of people are looking at Kuwait, but a lot of people are forgetting Afghanistan. And we've not had easy games against Afghanistan over the last decade.
Yeah.
We've lost the SAF Cup to them as well. So therefore, that's, I think, the challenge which we have.
It's going to be interesting. Again, obviously exciting in the sense that we've got some competitive international football to look forward to. Again, we'll come back and we'll probably preview the games. We'll talk in detail about our oppositions and things like that when we get closer to the World Cup qualifiers. For now, it's nice that we've had this nice conversation about who can potentially replace the injured guys for the World Cup qualifiers for the time being. And again, there's ISL football, guys. Tomorrow there's ISL football. We're back playing. Mumbai play Punjab. This quick scoreline prediction, guys, from you guys for Mumbai Punjab before we wrap up.
It's a difficult one for me because I've
been
in setting up both the clubs. So it's a very special game tomorrow. It's my personal derby. Mumbai City, surely our favorites, no doubt about it at home. If you look at the last game, even with 10 men, they should have won against Hyderabad. Only themselves to blame for not scoring a second. Punjab, difficult because I think they're realizing it's a step up from the I-League to the ISL. There is that gap is quite big. I think a lot of people are realizing that at the moment. The jump is quite big. So I hope that they don't get thrashed. If Chennai can beat them 5-1, if Mumbai City gets going, could be dangerous for Punjab FC. So I do think Mumbai will win. Yeah, I would think a 3-1, 4-1 most probably.
Fair enough. Hiren?
I kind of see a similar scoreline, 2-1, 3-1.
Okay. Interesting.
And yours, Rahul?
I think Mumbai win this comfortably. I think they win this 2-0 or 3-0. I think they need the win as well because they've had 2 draws this season.
Yes.
So they don't want to stay behind Goa and Mohun Bagan by too much of a margin. So I'm sure they want to get back to winning ways, and I think they can do that quite comfortably against Punjab. So yeah, Mumbai win there. Thanks guys for joining. Nice little chat, and then we'll be back tomorrow for Mumbai Punjab. Good night.
Good night, everyone, and like, share, and subscribe as always. All the channels, be it SportsKhabri, Curious Harry, Shine is joining us hopefully from tomorrow, Indian Food and Football, and of course Arun Foot. See you tomorrow.